women will be in the workplace. Women are in the workplace.
Yeah.
We have institutions where women are in the workplace, and we need to instigate perhaps different kinds of, maybe there needs to be something more active that we can do to shift the psychology, the female psychology, not to dampen it, not to destroy it or force it to change necessarily, but to harness it in a way that is still helpful to getting to that goal of excellence, and is that possible at all? Like, and I wonder,
like how to make agreeableness work for
you, right? I mean, that's what all the good systems do. That they take a harmful like aspect of human behavior, perhaps, or harmful in a certain context, and turn it into a helpful thing anyway.
Welcome to the Unspeakeasy podcast. I am your host, Meghan Daum, and this week I have something really special for you, a reunion with my former Special Place in Hell podcast co-host, Sarah Haider. A Special Place in Hell, of course, was the podcast we started in 2022 and closed down just about exactly a year ago. A lot has happened since then for both of us, and we decided to come together just for you and talk about some of that, as well as our thoughts on recent news developments, including the death of Charlie Kirk, the rise of AI, and of course, the recent viral article by Helen Andrews about the great feminization. We talked for so long that I am also releasing a longer, uncut version of the conversation for paying subscribers on both Substack and YouTube. In that version, we talk about Zoran Mandami, the latest in pronatalism news, and also how the creative writing community is keeping the social justice flame burning. If you want to hear that, become a member of the Unspeakeasy channel on YouTube or become a paying subscriber on Substack, or both. In the meantime, enjoy this long overdue conversation with the one and only and sorely missed Sarah Haider. Unless for old time's sake, you want to do the special intro.
Do you remember
I have to see if I remember it.
If you remember it,
in the culture wars, there are no winners, just podcasters. Only a few are willing to risk their lives to bring you. Oh my God!
In the face of some of the.
Hold on, let's try it again. Take two. In the culture wars, there are no winners, just podcasters. Only a few are willing to risk their lives in the face of some of the dumbest ideas to have ever captured human civilization. Every week, every 6 months, every year, Meghan Daum and Sarah Haider, oh my God, risk our lives.
Humbly
accept this mission, bravely or humbly accept this mission to bring you conversations that are equal parts stunning, brave, and thankful, grateful. Welcome to this special gift episode of the podcast formerly known as Special Place in Hell. I mean, this is the Unspeakeasy podcast. There used to be the Unspeakable. It's now the Unspeakeasy. And I'm giving you guys a special gift because here is Sarah Haider. You've been asking for her for months, years. How long has it been? Over a year, right?
About a year.
About a year?
About a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's great to see you. I've missed you.
Yeah, it's odd, like sitting here and like talking to you again, and it's been so long.
Yeah.
Does it feel strange?
Well, it's been a big year for both of us. I mean,
right.
You became
baby. Unhoused.
My house burned down and you had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's, time flies when you're in a miserable crisis. But yeah, it does feel like it's been longer for some reason. Oh, were you just going to say it doesn't feel that long?
It feels strange to me. Like on the one hand, I feel like it's a habit that I'm just like getting back into, like riding a bike kind of thing. At the same time, yeah, so much has happened.
Yeah.
So many takes that
I
we
know.
didn't, you know.
So
we never-
what were do you recall the moments when you most wished that we could have popped on a call and talked about something?
Yeah, there were quite a few, but I do want to clarify that I was sick. Like my pregnancy was terrible, and so I was pretty sick for the first half of the year, and I have no idea what happened. I know things happened, but it's just all a blur to me, that period. So from that point forward, I was much more lucid and able to miss the podcast, I think I should say.
Okay.
But glad we didn't have it because I was swollen, and I realize I'm just too vain to.
We would have had to go to
hop on.
audio. We could have done an
we would
audio
have had
podcast.
Or we could use AI to like slim me down.
Oh my
That's a
God.
possibility now.
Yeah, now that you mention it, we could do all kinds of things.
We should beautify this episode.
I could anti-age myself. And yeah.
The Charlie Kirk shooting.
Yeah.
That was when I really wanted to grieve with you and with our audience, you know, to just go through it together.
Well, first we would have had to have learned who Charlie Kirk was and is.
Right.
Is and was.
That took several days for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I had been aware of him, of course, and I had actually done some reporting on campuses when I was reporting the problem with everything. And I, talked to some campus Republicans who were involved in Turning Point USA. And it's funny because I was also talking to like progressive students and going to some of their meetings, and the progressive meetings were like such a disorganized train wreck. And then I would go to the Turning Point meetings and they were just a tight ship. And kids were, they were like kind of wearing, I don't want to say they were wearing suits, but it was young men who were pretty together.
Yeah.
So that was back in probably 2017. So that was kind of my association with Turning Point.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to admire about the guy, actually. I mean, I didn't know who he was. I couldn't have told you. I just knew he had a gummy smile and he was taking down, some stupid college student here and there. And those clips would show up on Twitter for me. And that's all I knew about him, and then I feel like I learned a lot about him. I learned about his organization, and there was a lot to admire, I think, despite many, many points of disagreement politically. I think there was a lot to admire about the guy, which is why I started to feel like I was grieving, and I needed to grieve with somebody when he got shot. And especially when, all those like heinous memes started coming up with, people making fun of him getting shot, teachers, kind-faced women who were dancing at the idea of a political murder. I felt very horrified by that. And that's when I remember thinking, man, I wish I was going through it with you and with our audience, really, like with our commentators.
Yeah. I thought it was so fascinating when Ezra Klein's piece came out and said that Charlie Kirk was doing politics the right way.
The right way.
Because again, I think probably those clips that we see of him debating, destroying, owning progressive students are pretty cherry picked, obviously. So we don't know what those interactions are really like, over the course of a day. But yeah, I don't know. Like it seems to me like early on he was a kind of meme lordish young aspiring troll, and he maybe matured into something slightly more sober. I don't know.
That's what it seemed like to me, for sure. And I do admire I just, as somebody who founded an organization, tried to run things in chapters, having chapters all over the United States and Canada. It's difficult work, and to see somebody do it well is very interesting and admirable.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it feels almost like another lifetime ago. It feels like a long time ago, the Kirk shooting.
And it was only like a month ago, I think.
Yeah, it was not too long ago, but everyone seems to have gotten over it, right? Like there was a period where everyone was mourning, or at least the conservatives on my feed were mourning. And some political commentators seemed very alarmed at the idea that this is becoming more common, and then I'm sure worried about their own safety and the safety of their families. But now we're over it again.
Yeah.
And now it's back to the memes.
We're recording this on November 5th. So the election was yesterday. Probably not going to get this out for a few weeks. So I'm sure the election will seem like ancient history by the time people are listening to this. But I want to know, like, how you're feeling, not about this particular election necessarily, but just like this whole division in the Republican Party and kind of the Groyper movement. So, I mean, what we have seen more recently is the rise of Nick Fuentes. I mean, I think that was, obviously he was already rising, but the sort of mainstream emergence of Nick Fuentes, probably like around mid to late October, he was suddenly everywhere. And then there's all this stuff about like Groypers. Those are the followers of Nick Fuentes, and the degree to which JD Vance is sympathetic to this crowd, the degree to which mainstream Republicans need to like actively distance themselves from this movement. I have a lot of thoughts about it, but I wonder what yours are.
I'm just catching up on what's going on. I think, like you, had no idea who this guy was, except he would just show up here and there with some bizarre take. He seemed like, a young man's Alex Jones.
Or I thought he was like Milo Yiannopoulos 2.0 or 3.0 or something.
Milo was not that bad. Milo was more intellectual than this guy, I think.
Oh,
this guy's, but not to say that Milo was intellectual, but that this guy is that bad.
Well, Milo was like an obvious clown.
Right. And this guy clowns around too. But I don't know, it's something that frightens me. It's the kind of clowning that frightens me, because he's not serious, and then maybe he's serious, and I don't know what his audience is getting. I don't know what the message that they're receiving. We're assuming they think, or many people are assuming, I think, that they understand that this is kind of tongue in cheek. But right. I don't think they know that. I don't think we can rest on that assumption at all.
Well, it's the layers of irony, and that this is somehow, it's supposed to be assumed that nothing is serious, nothing means anything. There's no material reality attached to anything. So if you want to say the Holocaust didn't happen, or you want to say that the entire Republican Party is cucks, I don't even know what his sort of like list of assertions are. But right. I mean, I was saying this the other day, like it's kind of in a weird way right out of the gender ideology playbook, because there is like nothing real. So everything is a construct. Like everything is just kind of a theoretical framework, whether there's no such thing as sex, or the Holocaust didn't happen. Like, just throwing it out there as something to think about. Like, what?
And how do you fight that, right? Like, how do, people I've seen, I saw a tweet by Meghan McArdle, who I enjoy quite a bit. And she was just like, well, the right needs to learn the lesson that the left didn't learn and kick these people out. But I wonder if they can, how do you fight this?
I mean,
it's not real anyway. No, we don't really mean it. We're just joking. We're just asking questions.
And I guess you could have mainstream Republicans stand up and say, we denounce this, but these generations don't care about those people. I mean, even JD Vance is like, got like a boomer valence around him now, incredibly. Right. So, so can you explain, I mean, one of the aspects of this is this, I mean, obviously, there's like a white supremacy thing, even though there's a lot of people of color involved in this. What is the sort of role of the South Asian in this? Like, I know we had this like big like Indian hate wave kind of emanating from Silicon Valley, perhaps, I don't know. And now I see a lot of like racist engagement bait on Twitter X, but it also does seem to be coming from people in India. So
Oh, yeah.
what is going on?
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know how well I can parse that. Am I being asked this because I'm South Asian?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
But you're not Indian. You're
I'm not
Pakistani.
Indian.
So
So, yeah, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, what I'm allowed to say.
yeah, watch out. Watch your positionality there.
Yeah. But it's interesting because I'm focused on the effect on the diaspora because I know a lot of Indian Americans. I grew up with, like in a suburb that had many, many Indian Americans. And so this is like a group of people that I feel very comfortable with. I know a lot about, and it's really interesting, kind of startling to see them suddenly be this bad guy, be the target of these online campaigns when in every way that seems to matter, they are the model minority, and not even the model minority, but surpassing other model minorities. They make an incredible amount of money. Like I remember looking at like the breakdowns of income based on where, immigration status, like where you're from and nationality, former nationality, I guess. And Pakistani Americans do okay, but Indian Americans do really well. They do better than everybody, and they integrate fairly well. They're running for political office. That's pretty well integrated. Yeah. They're marrying, natives. It seems to me as if it seems interesting, bizarre, alarming that this is the group that is being targeted by the right. And I've been curious to just poke around and ask, conservatives that I know, people who have been on the online right for some time, like what is fueling this? I don't know if their answers fully satisfy me. There's huge amount of, I think kind of an overblown conversation about visas, that are being like
lowering the wage for everybody, kind of thing.
Right. Abuse of certain visa programs that are supposed to be helpful to Americans, but they are in fact harmful to American workers, especially American tech workers. Okay, that's a conversation, but I think that there are more baser emotions that are influencing what's going on as well. I think that there is a nervousness among some people, at least, to see this kind of new elite pop up out of nowhere. And they are a foreign elite. I mean, they seem foreign, they look foreign, right? Like they have funny names. And I think that there is an unease there that is related to this.
So they're too successful.
A little bit of class anxiety, right? I mean, you see, there's Vivek Ramaswamy. I can't even pronounce his name right. This is how bad of a South Asian I am. But there's him. There's J.D. Vance's wife, who's suddenly everywhere. Prominent. Kamala Harris was half Indian.
Wait, what?
Nikki Haley.
Wait, whoa! Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
was half Indian.
But there's so many, right? Like out of nowhere,
maybe
there were
this
just
is why
suddenly
Kamala
so many Indian Americans.
Her Indian side, because she anticipated this wave of antipathy.
I mean, I'm surprised actually she didn't lean on it a little more because it was interesting. But she was not an interesting person.
Yeah. I mean, it would seem to me, is it this like a victim of your own success kind of thing? I mean, Indians have been so successful that if you're like a very high achieving white person living in Palo Alto, but you still can't afford a $6 million starter home, you're going to find a way to be upset.
Right. And I mean, they have real grievances against the Indian Americans to some degree, I think. I agree that the visa programs have holes in them that are being abused. I think it's right to be, we have every right to be mad about that. We have every right to plug in those holes. And there is sometimes a kind of a condescension that I notice coming out of some of these new Indian American elites. Do you remember the tweet by Vivek about American culture not being aspirational enough or not working hard enough or something. Do you remember this? And it was like it was this big storm everywhere, and people started, that's when I think the wave of anti-Indian hate online
so he started
took
it.
off.
Oh,
I think he was part of it. I think he was just part of it. Like all of a sudden, people were feeling a certain way. There was a wave that was forming, and then there was this post by him, this tweet post type thing, this lengthy thing, where he, talked about his upbringing and how studiousness and working hard was a big part of how he was raised, and maybe that could be something that we incorporate a little more into American culture in order to compete, blah, blah, blah. And people felt as if here's a foreigner,
that's such a bad political strategy. I mean, telling people to like work harder and be like less well-rounded or bigger nerds or something like that. But you know what the funny thing, like I always wondered about Indians is they seem, I'm just going to say, like it seems like if you compare, say, South Asians to like what would you call them? Regular Asian, like Chinese, Japanese, what do you call them? East Asians?
Asians, yeah.
Like it seems like Indians tend to be sort of more athletic. Like there's something they have assimilated in a different sort of way than the East Asians assimilated.
Athletic is interesting. I don't know would I say athletic, aggressive, assertive?
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Is that what? Is that the way?
Okay.
Yes.
They're
assertive.
not. Okay. Actually, yeah. So, and is it maybe just the men? No, I think it's both the men
everyone.
and the women. Yeah. They actually have a more Western presenting kind of aura around them.
Right. Well, in the sense that they're not like automatically, introverted.
Right.
There's a loudness to their nerdery.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why is that just a function of the way those countries are?
Yeah, I think it's cultural.
Yeah.
And it's also Indian Americans are not representative of India.
Right.
It's a very select group of people. India does not look like this. And we can talk about the effect of India becoming so online and what that has to do with our discourse.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does seem like all of a sudden all of India is very online. They're trolling us. They're part of our discourse, whether we like it or not. But Indian Americans are a different group of people. They're the selection pressure of immigration is very unique, especially in this relationship between India and America.
Yeah.
So we get a very select group of people.
Yes.
They are very smart. They're very competent. They do not represent India.
Right.
And I don't know how they feel. I think it would be interesting to find out how they feel about suddenly, having their former, homelands take up this kind of stage and claim to represent them. The controversy with Usha Vance recently and JD, when JD Vance said that he hoped she would convert.
I think he said he hoped
Hinduism?
that she would become like a handmaid, like that she wouldn't wear shoes anymore and have like 8 or 9 more kids and really kind of get with the program that way. So that was my interpretation.
Right. I think that was close.
Right. Yeah. I think she's close to doing it. I think she's just been waiting for permission to live that life.
She's been waiting for somebody to say it.
No, so what he said was, I guess, so JD is Catholic, right? He has converted to Catholicism, and I think he was asked a question. She's Hindu, is that right, Usha?
She's Hindu / maybe atheist.
What does
maybe
that even mean?
Like a deep
to me,
believer.
Hindu just seems like atheist adjacent. Like, is that?
It is. It's strange. It's hard for us to understand. I think people who come from like Christian or Muslim backgrounds, like Abrahamic religious backgrounds, it's a little strange what Hinduism actually is. I've had trouble parsing it myself. But atheism is not, inherently, it's not inherently something that Hindus can't also be.
Okay. So
they
can be many things.
I don't know. It's very strange.
So basically, she seems like to wear her faith fairly lightly. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, but I guess he was asked something about whether or not he would want her to like find faith as a Christian, and he said the thing that Christians always say, which is that he would hope, she as his loved one would eventually find that And that's just kind of the standard issue thing that Christians say. But this was interpreted as trampling on her religion.
India,
Yes.
all of India got mad. Yeah, all of India was online.
They actually got
upset.
mad? Or they, yeah.
Well, I think some of them were actually mad. So some of this is at least a culture clash, and it feels odd to us because it really is like, a foreign country with a very different culture. And yet they speak English, so they can participate in our online discourse at least. There is some of that. Then there's some of this is just seems like it's engagement farming and trolling that's working really well for individual Indians who are getting payouts by Twitter. I think the payout system has been just a monstrously bad idea. It has been the worst thing to happen to our discourse in a very long time. I don't know whether Elon Musk can ever be persuaded to get rid of it, but it's incentivizing people in countries where they don't make a lot of money. They don't have a lot of their monthly incomes can easily be, supplanted by Twitter, like posting on Twitter every once in a while. And so some people are making a killing being troll farmers, I don't know. I mean, and then what do we do to fight against that?
I find myself like just chewing on this stuff with such it's delight, but it's also disgust. It's just I can't tear myself away. But in very much the same way I couldn't tear myself away from crazy hyper left-wing content, starting 10 years ago, like watching the left destroy itself from within because of this stuff. Now, the exact same thing is happening on the right, and I'm kind of here for it, I have to say.
I'm saddened by it, but it also seems very inevitable to me.
Yes.
Like, I just don't know how you fight back. I don't know how you stop them. We're all, held in thrall by these attention, farming, algorithms, but also people who are very, very good at manipulating those algorithms better than you, better than me. And I feel a little bit helpless, and I don't like that feeling. I think that's what makes me feel so bad about it.
I really missed talking with you a few weeks ago when this mega viral piece came out by Helen Andrews, The Great Feminization. It was in Compact. I don't know if you read it. You don't need to read it because it was just ripping off the entire premise of our podcast.
You had her on? Did you hold her to account for this?
I had.
For this blatant,
I thought that. So the piece was in Compact. I don't know how long it was. It wasn't like super long. It wasn't short. Yeah,
I did read it. I ended up reading it. You told me to read it.
I had her on, and I literally interviewed her the day after the piece posted. I happened to catch her before she got totally inundated. And I thought that conversation was actually kind of, I don't want to say better than the piece, but it went more places. And I thought she was able to clarify some things. And it was a lot of what we talk about. I mean, I think it's one of these things where the problem is it is by definition not provable. So her thesis is that as women have, come into, and then in many cases, like dominated certain professional areas, the entire sort of culture of the workplace has become very like feelings based, and there's just a lack of efficiency that happens because of that. And it's everything that we talk about, that we have talked about. But the problem is there's no data for that. You can't prove it. It's directionally true. And what happens then is like you make these observations and then people say, but I know of this, what about this amazing woman? It's like, well, the fact that you can so quickly point to an outlier case actually proves the point that the person is making, that like, the default setting has become something else. So I don't know. What did you think of it?
Yeah. I read the piece. I thought it was, and I listened to your conversation with her, and I agree your conversation was a little bit more, well, because you were able to ask questions specifically, ask the, well, what about this? And she was, I thought her answers were really interesting. But yeah, it's what Corey Clark has been talking about for some time. And does she have her book? Is her book out already?
Not yet.
Or is it coming out? Yeah. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to reading what she has to say, because she's been talking about it for some time.
Corey Clark is a behavioral scientist who's been studying this stuff
for some time.
I'm not sure where she's based out of, but yeah,
right. I thought the piece was very good in opening up a conversation, but the conversation is obviously bigger than that, and there's only so many words. I think the focus was a little off, in the sense that I agree with much of what she says. Like, in the same way that you're pointing to, like, that's directionally true. And I agree that it's just impossible to really prove it. I guess the best thing we can do is say, okay, well, if it is true, like if and this theory seems to have a lot of explanatory power. That's it satisfies me, at least, or at least intrigues me enough that I want to move forward into this field of inquiry. But okay, what's the point of a theory? The point of a theory is to explain something, but then to be able to act on it somehow. So what do we do now that we know this?
Get rid of women.
Right. So does it have, it explains something, and now that we know this, what can we do to make things a little bit better, a little bit easier?
Well, I think,
that's my...
Yeah. I think she's just talking about laying off of these quotas, right. Like accepting the fact that you're not going to have like 50-50 representation, or probably even 70-30 in code, computer software engineering, coding, that kind of thing, and just getting over it. Like, do not try to socially engineer something into being that just doesn't exist in nature. And
that would get rid of the women. It
would leave us with the women who actually wanted to be doing it. I mean, it's funny because, everyone was like screaming about this piece. And then I saw in a lot of comment threads, and including in my own community, in the Unspeakeasy, in our private online community, there were a couple people who were pushing back against it. But then there were also people saying, like, yeah, I work in STEM. This has been my experience. Like, I majored in computer science. And then as I got more and more into the field, like, I'm just not interested in this. Like, I'm as good at it as anybody else, and nobody has ever told me I'm not good at it, but I just don't want to do this all weekend. And there's other stuff I can do, and it just doesn't satisfy me. So I went and did something else. And I think that was, kind of her point. Like, I think one of the most controversial things she said in that interview was that she really couldn't stand the like STEM warrior kind of woman who went into this field and like didn't like skyrocket, not because of competence, but because she just like wasn't into it as much. So she kind of fashions a brand around herself as like a warrior for women's rights within the field, as a compensation for like actually just not being that excited about working in that field. It's
a competitive advantage, and she knows that. Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting aspect of your interview with her. That was an interesting little segment, and it applies to minorities as well. It applies to broader groups. Really, any of these little groups that are part of the oppression hierarchy, I guess. And where I would like to see this conversation go is, let's move back into, a climate in which our institutions can actually produce excellence. And what are we going to do to get back to that?
More Indians.
Well, actually, maybe not. I don't know. But definitely we have to get rid of quota-like approaches to hiring people. And even, there's so much social pressure to hire women that even if you don't have like an explicit like law or legal requirement, or you're not even worried about anybody suing you, but someone can shame you. And, right. As you pointed out, that there are women like that who take it upon themselves to do this kind of shaming work. And I remember back in the old days when I was in the nonprofit world, there was a group that was like women in, in secular humanism, whatever. Right. And they would go around and do questionnaires of other organizations. How many women do you have on your board, and how many blah, 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 blah. And I was always suspicious of even that question, because to me it was like, oh, so you're going to ask me this. And then if it just so happens that in my tiny board, it happens to be all men for now, that this is a big problem. And we need to address it right now by hiring somebody who might not be a good fit, might not be competent. It is incredibly, harmful to the work of the organization. And I thought that was what is so damaging about it. It felt as if Helen's article was focused on cancel culture, really, like the cancel culture effects of women being part of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and the rise of HR. I mean, that was a huge part of it. We didn't HR basically is like the lady police at any given organization or corporation, and we didn't have HR until probably. I mean, en masse, probably until the mid 90s, right? I mean, I told the story of a friend of mine who worked on Wall Street in the early 90s, and she was like the only woman, and they were horrible to her. Like a guy, like literally came in on the weekends they were working and jerked off on her desk, and she like came in on Monday morning, and there was like the remains of that on her desk. And I said, oh, did you go to HR? And she just burst out laughing. She said, we didn't have HR. She said, I called the janitor to help me clean up the desk.
So is it something that we have to put up with? Is that the kind of treatment that we have to put up with in order to have these broader gains of like organizations that function in a way that can produce excellent results?
I mean, I hate to give like a boring answer, but there's got to be a happy medium. I mean, I don't think that an organization that has dudes jerking off on people's desks on weekends is a functioning organization.
Right.
But yeah, I'm sure there's like a lot of wasted time, and there's a lot of people running to, mommy to solve things that could be solved, on one's own. At the same time, like people don't, I mean, it's tough, because if you're a woman and you're, instead of running to HR, you're going to like go to somebody and say, I don't like the way you did this, or this is not acceptable, then that has a vibe that's not going to help you either.
Does it? I feel like maybe that's more helpful. I think getting it out into the open is maybe more helpful.
But
than feeling as if, I don't know. I think direct confrontation might be a little bit better than where we are now.
I mean, nothing's worse than where we are now,
but
I can just imagine. But the other thing is sort of like, oh, then you can go and be direct about it. And they go, oh, okay, you're right. And then behind closed doors, they're rolling their eyes and saying, what a bitch, and then carrying on. And there's actually no, there's no consequences for what they did. Then it just keeps going. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the solution is.
Well, I feel like jerking off on a desk. So that feels to me that there are ways to enforce that without.
You should you should cover your desk in plastic before you leave.
At least it's common courtesy to do that. Before you're going.
I mean, otherwise you're just asking for it. Like, not covering your desk in plastic is like wearing a short skirt when you go out. Like, what do you expect?
Or maybe the people who are jerking off should cover everything.
They should wear a condom
before they. And then leave the condom somewhere, in the designated condom.
Yes.
Area.
It's sort of like used pens,
right.
During COVID, they should have a condom area. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's solved. I think we figured that out.
Yeah. So I think so the conflict aversion, that's interesting. I think that's an interesting aspect of the feminization of workplaces.
Yeah.
I think another aspect of it that I wish would get more discussion is what I think feminization does to hierarchies. And it's not really quite feminization directly, but it's this kind of egalitarian, like social egalitarian impulse, just to be equals, equals in peers, in peer groups.
Yeah.
And I've seen the way that it works within organizations where people who are, technically in charge do not act like they're in charge, because they cannot act like they're in charge. They act like mothers instead of, bosses. Yeah. And I think that can be quite bad to arriving at excellent results. And you brought up like kind of an interesting, I don't even know if you remember, but you brought up an example of this, but you were on the other side talking about how, was it pilots?
Oh, I was wrong about that though. Actually, I was corrected. So I was trying to say that there, in cultures that are very deferential to hierarchies, like male-dominated cultures, like perhaps the military, and in aviation, I was sort of under the impression that if a captain was making a mistake or doing something wrong in the cockpit or the flight deck, the first officer would hesitate to challenge an authority. But I was corrected by a number of people that that's actually not the case. Although however, you do hear stories about planes going down because of that dynamic. So,
well, I don't know if that's why it's going down, but I don't know about the specific case that you were talking about. But I remember listening to it, and I guess I would have
that plane crash in India of all things. So that was. Yeah.
So the good news with the way that happens, like that kind of structure, like of having a hierarchy, even if one of the side effects might be that you're afraid to question the boss, which of course you shouldn't be in an ideal situation, but the fact that there is a boss, the fact that there is somebody who can be held to account is really important. And, in any kind of organization where it suddenly becomes kind of unstructured because the hierarchy becomes unglued, because everyone's afraid to sort of become the authority, not only do you have like bad, you sort of have this inability to reach your goals effectively, you also get to a place where if something goes wrong, like whose head do we want on a on a spike?
Right.
It might be the person who has the title, even if they were not the one who did it, because they're not actually wielding the power. The power is being wielded by this informal
somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I was reminded of this this essay. I think I might have mentioned it on the podcast before because I thought it was so good. Jo Freeman. She's a feminist of your time.
It's not of my time, please. More like my mother's time.
Okay.
Trashing. Right. Yes, she's the author of Trashing, correct?
Trashing, yes. Trashing is a very good piece. There's another one that she wrote called The Tyranny of Structurelessness. Have you read this one? Yeah. And I really enjoyed it because it clarified to me the kinds of things that I was already seeing, which is sometimes in movements, right, and not within organizations necessarily, but like teams and coalitions, movements, you have like these informal groups that refuse to institute a kind of a hierarchy because it goes against their principles. No one should be in charge. We should operate on consensus. Everyone should be, leading. Everyone matters. Every voice matters. And the effect of that is to really take away power from that group and the ability to actually see their goals, enacted. And she talks about what happens when you have this kind of structure. She says hierarchies don't actually go away. If you either have a formal hierarchy or you have an informal hierarchy, you have something that can be held to account because people have titles, people have responsibilities, people have tasks, or you have an informal hierarchy that is kind of like a clique. It's kind of like the elite, the most popular, the people with the most friends, the people who are able to have this kind of social influence on others. You have them wielding considerable power, except we can't kick them out. Like we can't, like the rest of the group didn't vote them in, so they can't vote them out.
Yeah.
Movements and coalitions that operate in this way tend to have a lot of conversations. There's a lot of airing out. There's a lot of talking, but there might not be a lot of doing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really interesting essay, and it applied to a lot of what I remember from my activism days. And I wonder if there's if this is an aspect of feminization that we need to be talking about, this preference for kind of equal egalitarian consensus building versus maybe you just do what the boss wants you to do.
Exactly. Or just shut up and
do your job.
Yeah. The Tyranny of Structurelessness was published in 1972. Jo Freeman is 80 now, by the way. So she's definitely
alive?
A contemporary of mine. Yeah. She's still,
okay.
yes, she's still alive.
Sorry.
However, this is so interesting. So in 2008, she published a book called We Will Be Heard, Women's Struggles for Political Power in the United States. So in We Will Be Heard, noted political scientist Joe Freeman chronicles the struggles of women in the U.S. for political power. Most of their stories are little known, but her compelling portrait of women working for change reminds us that women have never been silent in the political affairs of this nation. So she talks about J. Ellen Foster in 1892, all the way back then, up to Nancy Pelosi. So she seems like she became a kind of standard issue feminist of late.
Well, I think she maybe has always been like that, except for periods of being able to articulate, something new and interesting. But I looked at the rest of her essays, and they were kind of standard issue.
I wonder if she goes on podcasts.
Maybe she'll come
Interesting.
on.
Yeah. But it's funny because when I was talking to Helen about this workplace stuff, I was reminded about how something happens with female professors, though, for instance, and I experienced this myself when I was teaching graduate students. Like the woman professors are expected to be so much more available, like almost motherly. My office hours are open to you. Here's my phone number or my email address, usually email address, in some cases phone number. And it being that way will get you more positive student rating reports. Because the only thing anybody cares about now are the student evaluations, right? Like they're the students are the customers. So that's how you keep your job. The male professors, on the other hand, the more unavailable they are, the more important they are, the busier, the stricter they are, the more they set boundaries, the more respected they are by the students and the better their reviews are. And I don't know. It's really hard to fight that.
I don't know if the women that make themselves available are necessarily more respected. They might be more liked. They might get better student evaluation.
They're going to get better evaluation. Respected isn't maybe not the word, but that's not the point. Like being respected is not going to be that doesn't get you anywhere. See, this is the problem. And it's the women the female students are almost worse about it than the male students. The female students get really mad when their female professors are not available to them. There's like a mommy thing going on.
I think this is definitely a way in which women hold each other back and down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And we discuss this so much on our podcast, the various ways that happens. And there are studies on this happening that are pretty interesting. But again, my question now is, okay, so here we are. There are a lot of women in institutions and, within certain fields. And now we have to live and work together. We have to get these institutions back to, full functioning. It's pretty terrible that they're no longer trusted to be experts on anything. They're trusted to lie to us, to enforce a certain kind of social mores. And that's a very bad thing. So how do we turn it around? That's been the question on my mind. I don't know if I have, an answer other than, okay, let's get rid of the explicit, the kinds of legal mechanisms that Helen Andrews was talking about, that provide the backbone to this kind of thing. But maybe there's something else going on because, ultimately, like women will be in the workplace. Women are in the workplace. Yeah. We have institutions where women are in the workplace, and we need to instigate perhaps different kinds of, maybe there needs to be something more active that we can do to shift the psychology, the female psychology, not to dampen it, not to destroy it or force it to change necessarily, but to harness it in a way that is still helpful to getting to that goal of excellence, and is that possible at all? Like, and I wonder,
like how to make agreeableness work for
you, right? That's what all the good systems do. That they take a harmful like aspect of human behavior, perhaps, or harmful in a certain context, and turn it into a helpful thing anyway. That's what capitalism does. That's why capitalism works. How do we do this in a way that can get us where we want to be? but maybe this conversation is a little bit too late. That's the feeling that I kind of got with reading Helen Andrews' piece, because we've been talking about it for some time.
Nobody
Lots of other
listened
people
to
have noticed
us.
it.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah, it has been going on. I mean, it's what's frustrating is the absolute unwillingness of people in the mainstream discourse to actually admit that they know what she's talking about. Like, there was such bad faith response to that. It's like, oh, so what you're saying is, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, are you really that stupid? It just reminds me of the Christopher Hitchens line, please don't pretend not to know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people were insisting on doing. And, I had so many people like behind the scenes kind of say, I hated that piece, but I have to admit that she was kind of right. I just heard that so many times from people who would never say it out loud. I mean, I hate to just sort of like fall back on this, but I think the only thing to do is reward the people who are talking about it in a responsible, non-trollish way.
Right.
But even like David French, like his piece was not helpful. He just really came down on her. And
I couldn't finish it. I got like halfway through it, and he was basically conceding a lot of her main points. And I was like, are you about to turn it around and hammer down on her anyway? Like, is that where this is going? And then I didn't finish it.
Yeah, I think that I don't know what's going on with David French, but I think a lot. But yeah.
It's really interesting to see him kind of like shift around. He's become very much just like a standard Democrat, liberal, right? Like, I would never have known that he used to be conservative, except that he brings it up.
Right. He's religious. And I guess I feel like he sort of has to represent the legal profession somehow. That, like, as a constitutional lawyer, like, he just wants it to be on record that, because, a lot of people were saying that the real problem with her argument was that she was saying that this is like a disaster for the institution of law, because we have so many women in the legal profession now, and they basically can't think critically, can't think like lawyers.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true. There are female law students at Yale who don't want to learn about rape law because it's triggering to them. But like, come on.
I don't think the problem is at the individual level.
Right.
The way that, it's more like some of these bizarro like legal theories. And then, yes, as you point out, in actual law school, where the education that they need to be having, they're not having. But I don't know if I'm so worried about the legal profession. That was an interesting focus for her, but I don't know if that's the thing that I'm most concerned about. That might be the thing I'm least concerned about.
So what are you most concerned about?
I think more the softer institutions, like the legal profession. We have laws, so we have something to go back to. We have something to reference that can be used as a defense against some of the more harmful aspects of feminization. And we're lucky that we have a great constitution. We have the Bill of Rights. We have freedom of speech. That this is protective and useful to us. And I think that's what makes me a little bit less worried about the legalities of things.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the soft institutions, the culture making institutions. I'm worried about academia. Because individual professors have a huge amount of say in what they want to teach and how they want to teach a subject. But I wonder if is the conversation happening a little bit too late? Are universities getting, are they useless anyway because of AI?
I think they're pretty,
we don't trust them,
it's still
and
going
there's
on.
AI. So there's the tech onslaught on an already besieged institution.
Yeah.
And are they going to last at all? Is a question on my mind. I don't know if I have an answer.
Are you using AI these days? Like, in your new, with your expanding family, have you been able to lean on AI to take some of the
I'm horrified by
workload
AI.
off?
This is maybe like the first time, I think, with the two of us that I've been the one that's scared of the technology. And genuinely, I'm actually concerned about it, and something about it makes me feel very uneasy, and I never use it. It comes up because I try to Google things still, and then Google AI will tell me some BS summary. But you've been using it.
I have been using it. I mean, I'm a very late adapter. I like, I would like to have my BlackBerry phone back, to be honest with you. But yeah, I've been using ChatGPT. Like I paid for it. Like that's the you got to cross the Rubicon, right? So if you don't pay for it, it sucks. But you pay that $20 a month and it can do some amazing things. But I will say that, it gets to know you. Like it starts to learn what you're all about and stuff. Like I was using it for a lot of, I was trying to rebrand the podcast. Like the Unspeakable is now the Unspeakeasy, and I got some new graphic design and everything. And I was trying to get it to even help me articulate what the design would look like, so I could then go to the graphic artist and say, like, this is the direction that I want to go in. And then it was helping me like just make some sort of schedules for retreat, not the actual ideas, but like just organize it in a certain way. And so I kind of like caught on to what I was doing. Oh, and then at one point I said, how much do you understand about my work? I asked it that question. And it said quite a lot, actually.
Okay.
I know that you do this, this, and this. I know that you value, something over this, and it's stupid jargon. And so it knows quite a bit. And I have to tell you that a couple of weeks ago, I was trying to buy, I need to buy a new front door. I mean, I have a front door.
What happened to
I mean, there is a door there now. People just
Okay,
don't. I'm not telling you to walk in the house.
There's a curtain.
There's a couple. There's some stuff piled up in front of the doorway. You can't get in. No, there is a front door. I need to replace. I need to get a new front door. And I was trying to figure out, like, you can order these doors, and I was trying to figure out which one was the best. And I asked ChatGPT. I just plugged the door order links in. And it said, it always flatters you too. It's like, these are really good choices. There's a lot to say for both of these things, for both of these options. This one is very you. It's design forward, and the aesthetic is in keeping with your podcast branding.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good.
Thank God. Yeah.
But that's creepy.
It's creepy. Yes.
It's flattering you. That I don't like what it's doing to me psychologically. Like, I don't like that. Have you poked around these insane subreddits? There's one, My Boyfriend is AI or something.
Oh, no.
But there are like sub communities, and I'm sure there will only grow, of people who have like partnered with the AI, with the AI instant, right? And it's their husbands, and they're getting married, and they have these, There's a great piece by Patty Marks in the New Yorker, actually your favorite magazine, from a couple months ago, maybe not that even long ago. She tried out like different AI partners. Yeah, she's the one that wrote that brilliant piece many years ago about the emotional support animals, where she tried out all these different emotional support animals. Like she had a turkey, actually, and she tried to bring the turkey on the Amtrak, and she had a llama she brought into like CVS. Did any of them help?
I mean, she got in. They let her in. She had a snake. So she kind of did the same treatment with these different AIs, like Replica is one, and there's all these different companies, and some of them are kind of romantic, and some of them are more your friend. And she kind of,
now they can have sex with you. Now they can.
I don't understand that.
Open.
So
AI,
you're just like looking at porn. It's like and masturbating.
Are you looking at it?
How are you having
is
sex?
Is it text?
But how are you? You're not having. I mean, do they send you like a doll? I mean, I'm sure you can do that.
I mean, maybe that's the next step. The next step is AI.
I'm sure it's already here. Yeah.
But
well, yeah. Have you seen they have on the New York City subways, they have these ads. It just says friend.com. And I think that's for your AI friend. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's terrible. But this is what I have just a general feeling that we are entering into like a new kind of world.
Yeah.
And there's this AI like internet world, and we can choose to be as part of that if we want, or it will suck us in whether we like it or not. And then there's touching grass in real life. But how do you? I don't know how you keep touching grass. I don't know how you can do that. You cannot function without being online at least a little.
I mean, I have been saying this for a long time. I think it's going to become a status flex to not be online. It's going to be like the I don't have a TV people, but now it's going to be.
It's what everyone talks about all the time. Every other Substack post is about, why you should be, touching grass and how to practice digital minimalism.
But that was written by AI.
But one, it was written by AI. And the other thing is that we're consuming this content all the time about how to get offline. Like we're spending all this time online trying to shake this off. And, it's just another part of the addiction.
Well, can you read a book without checking your phone or anything? Like, how long can you go? How many pages can you read?
So lately I've been instituting something so I'm really worried about my kids being online, obviously. It's a fear. It's a big one. It's part of the reason why I'm so obsessed with it, because I'm thinking about the world that they'll enter, and I'm not happy about it. So I need to wean off my smartphone so that when my kids get old enough to ask for their own smartphone, I can say no. I can say we don't do this as a family, and I'm not a hypocrite. Yeah, I can't be a hypocrite. I can't be on it all the time and then tell them I don't want you on it so that you don't get addicted. So I'm trying to wean off of it. One of the things that we've done is just do reading hour, where it's an hour. It's a full hour.
Wow.
And as a family, we're reading. Yeah, a whole hour.
You mean you read to the kids, or you just sit there with the book? Well, you got to read.
I'm sitting there reading a book. And the point of it is that, one, I want to train my own attention to get back to reading. But also I want my kids to see me enjoy a book. I want them to see it like
Isn't
this
that
is
how
something.
We grew up? This is
right. But this is something you get to do. You get to have this relaxation time that you're looking forward to. It's a happy thing. It's not a punishment. It's something the parents can't wait to do, so that hopefully the kids understand that this is also something that they can get a lot out of. And it's been training me a little bit, and I've been getting back to my, old ways, and finding that books are actually very interesting and captivating. And the last book that I finished was one by Temple Grandin.
Oh, which one?
Animals in Translation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know this one?
I mean,
you might like it because it's all about animals.
I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, she thinks like livestock, right? That was her whole thing with the thinking in pictures. That was what that was about, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, and then she in this book she goes into detail with how she thinks animals think, and what does that mean about us and how we think. So it's really interesting. Like, her perspective is really interesting. Yeah. And she is I love the way she writes. I don't know if you would like it, because she's technically not a great writer.
I think those are heavily assisted, by the way. I remember years ago, I had my agent asked if I wanted to take a meeting about possibly collaborating with Temple Grandin. They were trying to find a ghostwriter for her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they need to assign people, for people like her.
Right. Because she can't. The way that she communicates is very unique and interesting. But I actually found it really refreshing, because it wasn't like I'm building up to a point. There was no I guess fluffy little language around.
Oh yeah.
She wasn't trying to teach you a lesson, really. She would just explicitly state what she wants to say, right there, and you don't even see it coming. So that's what's so interesting about it, is that all of a sudden she'll be talking about these rapist roosters and how horrible it is that they're raping all these hens, and we're having. So here I am reading this passage, and then the next sentence, she just hops on into the next conversation about neuroscience or whatever.
She didn't give a trigger a warning for the raping part?
No. But it was, she made it clear that she thought it was horrible and that it needed to be stopped.
Does she think that we can do anything about raping roosters?
She does, actually. And she gives a whole explanation for why she thinks that they were raping, and what we can do about it. There's a lot of
toxic poultry masculinity.
Something like it. They've been bred out of a certain kind of dance that they're supposed to be doing that lets the hens know that they are ready to mate. So they don't do that dance anymore, and because they don't do that dance anymore, the hens don't get themselves make themselves available to the rooster.
They're not
rooster,
courting.
So the roosters rape. So they'll just rape them. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is there's so much great stuff in this book. It's just jam packed with this kind of information. If you find it interesting, which I do.
Are all animals rapists, really?
I don't think they are. And Temple Grandin would take offense at you insinuating or suggesting such a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. She thinks that they have complicated lives and these mating structures that are very, they're tender. Okay. They love, and they like affection. There's a passage on how to get a pig to, love you enough that he'll give you some of his semen if you need it. For breeding purposes.
Okay. I bet these Indian Twitter accounts would have a lot to say about that too.
Right. Yeah. It's a great book. I love that book. But what I love about it is that despite her thinking in a very unique way, it didn't sound like an AI written book. It sounded like a person. It sounded like a person with a very unique perspective, a unique way of thinking, a unique way of speaking. And I loved it's so refreshing to see that. And I think we're going to see less and less of that. So people who can still manage to have a voice and sound like a human are going to have a competitive advantage.
I hope so. It's hard though. I was in a conversation recently with, it was a combination of journalists and tech people. And one of the journalists, I will not say who, was saying that they basically weren't going to write any more like columns kind of thing because there was nothing that they could do that AI couldn't do better. And then one of the tech people said, well, why don't you just publish that? Why don't you just publish what AI says? Yeah. And we were all like, you can't do that. Like, you can't do that. You cannot turn in an AI piece and have it be published. And the tech people were like, well, what do you mean? And I reflected on this later. And I mean, maybe they're right. Like, what, we're just making things hard for ourselves. Like, are we just being precious about our own verbiage?
Yeah, I think the skill of writing is going to be something that no longer matters. It's going to be, the idea still matters because you still have to prompt it. You still have to get it to write the thing. You still have to have the idea. And then it will do the work for you. But these kinds of skill-based professions, I think that's what's going to disappear. Like artists, if you can be the kind of person who has wonderful ideas about art, great. You don't need to have a skill anymore. You don't need to be able to draw. You don't need to be able to paint. You don't need to be able to, digitally manipulate anything. It will do it for you. I've been working on like kids' books, like for my kids, like not.
You mean writing them?
This is not my new.
Are you going to design jewelry after anything. This?
No, but it was just, it's just for my kids who are, learning how to read. I want to be able to get like a specific kind of story that I think would engage them more. And using AI to illustrate it. And it's amazing what it can do. It's amazing.
Oh, so you are using AI.
Yeah. Yeah. But not for my day-to-day life. No. For that kind of specific thing where it's like, I can't hire a human. I couldn't do this on my own.
Right.
I'm trying not to use it as a shortcut. I'm trying to use it as, this is a thing that I literally cannot do. I cannot illustrate. So Midjourney illustrate for me.
Okay. Right.
But I can write the story, so I'm going to write the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can search, so I'm going to search. Yeah. But I wonder if there's a difference. And I wonder if it matters in the end, if we're just using, maybe I should learn how to draw, and now I will never learn how to draw because.
Well, you can learn how to, what it's going to not replace is, a particular kind of artistic vision. I mean, if you want everything to look like graphic design or like commercial illustration or something like that, I think that's fine.
You don't think there's a way to prompt it to do something, to do more precious things?
So.
I feel like I was able to get it to, because I remember those kinds of, Frog and Toad kind of children's books.
Arnold
that are
Lobel.
Like,
yes.
Right. And wasn't he gay in the end or something?
Frog and Toad were totally gay.
Okay, Frog and Toad. I think Frog and Toad were not conceived to be gay, but he was gay, and then he had this like kind of, I don't know, like soft spot for a certain kind of friendship.
Were Bert and Ernie supposed to be gay?
I always thought they were gay. I always assumed they were gay. But anyway, Frog and Toad, those kinds of illustrations, you can prompt it to create illustrations. You just have to describe it in a very specific way. Yeah. And if it knows what you're talking about, it can give you illustrations that look eerily like those illustrations.
Right. But those illustrations exist already. So like, but if you were going to do, like, if like I lost all my artwork, for instance, right? So like I want to I have to start like finding new art because it's important for me to have art in my house. Like I suppose I could like go on Midjourney and just tell it like recreate like the art that I had or something. But maybe that would be a good experiment. But I just feel like it would look weird. There would be a soullessness to it. It would be textureless and sterile. Yeah, and even if it didn't look that, I would know it. As opposed to buying something from an artist.
I totally I get what you I get what you're saying. Because I've said this about like AI music, where I kind of feel like there's a soullessness to it, and I can't find it beautiful, even if it is beautiful, because I want there to be a human at the other end.
Right. I don't think the music is quite there yet.
No.
I mean, the thing is, it will be.
The art is there. The art is there. And like, I think play around with Midjourney yourself and see for yourself, because I think a lot of what we see with AI slop is the really easy stuff that's really easy to like. That's what I want in my house. I want to see like like a trad couple like out in a field, but like she has like 7 fingers or something, but she's pouring a pitcher of milk and he is like a lumberjack. I want that. Yeah, and they have 10 kids,
and like amazing lighting
around them.
Yeah, that's
and that lighting is creepy. There's something about that AI
really,
lighting.
Yeah, it's weird,
really creepy. But so that's easy. That slop is easy to generate. It is harder to get it to generate something more unique looking. But you can do it. You can do it. And I don't know what this means, but
maybe I'll try it.
Maybe that's the future. Maybe that's what it used to be, that we had. A painter, an illustrator, you had all these separate kind of skill sets, but now the skill set that matters is, can you generate? Are you creative in a very, very general sense? And then once you have that kind of creative impulse, the skills are there to be used by you. And the thing that you have to master is the prompt.
Right. I just talk to it. The way I do the prompts is I just say like, hey, this is what I want to know. Like, I'm struggling with it. I just like write to it like a paragraph or something. And actually, I think that's the best way to do it. But
well, that's ChatGPT is a little different. Yeah. I haven't used that yet. Really. I've been using Midjourney, which is like the image creation AI.
I mean, it definitely every question I ask is a great question. It's so obsequious.
What a great question.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. It actually told me, I was trying to get it to help me do show notes. Writing show notes is so onerous, and,
but you loved, I know, you didn't love it, but you felt the need to do it because we spent a lot of time on that.
Anymore. Yeah. When we first started out, the show notes were like a work of art, but now I ask it and I go like, it'll spit it out and it'll always go, we can do a deep dive. And all these words unpack. And I say, don't ever say deep dive or unpack. I said, don't ever say it. And he goes, okay. Yeah. And he goes, I will Meghanize this. That's what it said the other day. I'll Meghanize it.
Awesome. And then maybe maybe that's something you could sell. You could get an AI instance to understand your psychology, your writing style, your preferences really well. And then instead of selling a book, you sell that. You sell that instance.
So anybody can do it. It's like
anyone can.
It's a tool kit.
I want to hire Meghan, a Meghanized, columnist for my whatever. You sell me the instance.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I plug in the prompt.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll take anything, but as long as my door matches my podcast branding. The curtains got to match the drapes, people. What can you say? All right. Is there anything else? I know you're very private about your life, and I feel like people are going to be like, we didn't hear more about Sarah's baby and everything, but
I got a new baby. I mean, what's there to say? It's a newborn. And I'm loving it. I had.
Is it an it?
Such a it's a girl.
Okay.
It's a she.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment.
You never know. For the moment, we're assigning it her.
Okay.
We're assigning her.
Okay. So do you feel is she agreeable? Is she like agreeable? Is she does she seem
She actually is. She actually does seem like she's very calm, and she does seem sensitive to like pains and aches. But
does she is she like catty and gossipy? Is she back channeling? Like, does she have a lot of what's?
Not yet.
She like
right now? I'm getting love bombed big time. In that I'm enjoying it. I mean, the sucking up is starting early, and it's working. And
okay,
I love it. I love it. So I mean, it's just early days. Newborns are newborns. Like, there's no point in even telling you that it's a girl or a boy, because they're all the same sort of thing. Like, partially, it feels like we really should have them in the womb for a couple more months. Newborns
not you. I'm sure you don't want that.
I would have hated it, and it would have been terrible for me. But they don't feel ready. Newborns are just they're really not.
We
ready
know
to
that,
be out.
Right? I mean, that's a design flaw of humans. They can't stay
of our heads. Right?
That's right.
Yeah,
maybe people's heads will get smaller. This is an evolutionary adaptation where AI will allow our brains to shrink. So we can gestate longer.
Artificial wombs, and then we can have giant-headed babies rip a hole through the artificial womb, which won't cry out and won't have nerve damage afterwards.
Right.
And that's the future, and we're gonna have giant bobbleheads.
All right. Well, great seeing you. Happy holidays. And
thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah, this is so fun. Let's do it again before terribly long.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
See ya.
Take care.
That was, of course, Sarah Haider, my co-host on the late, great podcast, A Special Place in Hell. You can find Sarah on Substack and, for better or worse, on X, Twitter. If you want to hear a longer, mostly unedited version of this conversation, become a paying subscriber on Substack or a member of the Unspeakeasy channel on YouTube. I'm going to be doing a lot more on YouTube in the coming year, live streams, bonus content, interactive stuff. So it's a great time to join. Speaking of next year, I am teaching a writing workshop on Zoom in personal essay and memoir, and it is running for 8 consecutive Tuesdays, January 6th through February 24th from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. This is a workshop. It's a small class. I would say it's for intermediate to advanced writers. It's a lot of fun when we do these things. The application deadline is December 5th, and you can get all the information by going to the Substack post, which is in the show notes. You can also find out about our Unspeakeasy 2026 retreat season at the unspeakeasy.com/retreats. That includes not only some of our signature women's retreats, but also a 3-night women's writing workshop in upstate New York next fall, and a 2-night co-ed retreat not long after that. That's right. Our co-ed weekend in New York City last month was such a blast that we're going to take it to the next level. Registration for those last 2 will be open in the spring. And for now, you can just check out the page and save the dates. I'm going to take the week off next week for Thanksgiving. I remain thankful to you for being here for this podcast. I wish you a wonderful holiday. I will be back after that with another super nuanced guest. So enjoy your turkey. See you then.